Well, here we are again. And here I was thinking this was only going to be a one-part video. All the support that was given to the Minecraft Iceberg Part 1 really blew me away, and I am very thankful to everyone that watched it, and that's exactly why I'm here for a Part 2. I'd like to thank all of the awesome comments I got that were just paragraphs long, describing all kinds of interesting stories to me about their Minecraft journey, as well as creepy experiences that they've had. Today we're going to be diving back into the Minecraft Iceberg. However, I feel the name of this iceberg could be a little bit better. Some of you mentioned that the iceberg wasn't quite scary enough to be considered a true horror iceberg. And I think that some of you had a good point. Like, why was Spider Jockey in the video? This was a valid criticism, because spider jockeys aren't that scary. Neither was the Farlands. After giving it a lot of thought, I decided that instead of going for a pure horror iceberg, this is going to be a mysterious iceberg. There is a lot of horror elements, however, I truly believe that this is more on the mysterious side. And I think that you guys will find that a lot of mystery goes hand in hand with horror. Before we get into the latest entries, I'd like to talk about a couple previous entries. If you haven't seen the first part of the Minecraft Iceberg, you should skip this part or go watch it, because I'm going to be discussing different entries that we previously discussed in greater detail. So, grab a snack, prepare yourselves, and welcome back to the Minecraft Horror Iceberg. Or, as I'd like to call it, the Minecraft Mysterious Horror Iceberg, Part 2.
Yo, kid! Get over here!
The first entry I'd like to discuss is the creepers are plants theory. This is the one that I regret most because it was the very first entry out of the entire iceberg. I very confidently stated that it was just a theory and that it definitely was not true. I just want to apologize for that because that is totally inaccurate. You see, from the research that I actually did conduct, all I could find was theory posts of people trying to theorize why the creeper might be a plant. If we were to look at the bestiary, the main fact that was keeping me from seeing the creeper as a true plant was the fact that its insides contained a skeleton, unlike that of a normal plant. However, with the inside of the same mob bestiary that we can find this in, it also mentions that it uses spores to explode. These feel kind of contradictory. I can see all kinds of facts that lean in both directions. Some people claiming that the creeper is a plant and others claiming that it isn't. And this is why it would normally be claimed as a theory. Notch has described this as a creature that had dried leaves. The creeper's original texture was literally supposed to come from leaves. There's so many connections to plants. So I just wonder, could it be that both are true? This is only further proved in recent times based off of the new Minecraft movie. If you were to look at the Minecraft movie design of a creeper, it is filled with grass. They knew what they were doing. The fact that the Minecraft movie allowed this to be the design of pretty much the face of Minecraft just proves that the creeper is definitely related to plants. Is it a plant? Maybe not necessarily. Here's my theory. I think the creepers are not plants, but they are camouflaged to look like plants. This does kind of make sense with the fact that they sneak up behind you and they blend in well with the environment, at least in Minecraft terms. This would also explain the fact that they have a skeletal structure and a piece of TNT inside of them. What if they are not plants, but they are merely pretending to be? Then again, I've yet to see the Minecraft movie for myself, so who knows, maybe in the movie they are living plant creatures for all I know. Some of you may be asking, well, why don't you go see the movie? Well, currently, as I'm making this video, the movie is not out. But I'm sure the movie might give us some new ideas to think on for the next part if there ever is a part 3. With that being said, I think that's about all there is to say about the creeper as a plant. I think that it could be, or it might not be. But I personally headcanon that it is not a plant. However, It is desperately trying to blend in as a plant. This is a highly debated topic currently in my comment section, with some people agreeing, but with other people swearing against it. I think the fact that I was so quick to dismiss it as my first entry did turn a lot of people away from the video, and that's why I wanted to discuss this again in greater detail. To the people that I offended, I am sorry. For the next thing I want to talk about, I want to discuss the Guardians again. I'm going to keep it brief, but essentially the theory was that Guardians were actually mechanical robots. However, in the video, I mentioned that I didn't quite believe that this could be true. I felt like there was a lot of evidence for it, but I couldn't quite prove it. There is something that kind of blows this out of the water. I overlooked a very small detail that changes the way I see everything, and I feel like cracks the case wide open. They can breathe outside of water, unlike any other fish. This seems like such a simple fact, and I don't know why I didn't think of this. I've seen Guardians out of the water many times. You can go in creative mode right now and place a Guardian, and it will live. The Guardians literally do not suffocate outside of the water, unlike any other fish. That alone is insane. If you check the Minecraft mob bestiary, the Guardians literally show that they have a mechanical interior. Oh my gosh. There was already a lot to prove this, but I think this theory is no longer a theory. I personally headcanon that they are in fact mechanical creatures and not actual fish. I believe they were created to keep people outside of the ocean monument, and they are robots meant to do that job. And this also explains, the giant beams coming out of their eyeballs, the sounds they make, the fact that they could live outside of water, even their entire appearance. They literally look like the blocks that the ocean monument is made out of. I felt like this was one I really also had to speak about because I think that I was a little bit wrong in that first video. So my mind has officially been changed. I would also like to talk about the Nether reactor. Someone pointed out that it was actually a Pocket Edition exclusive, not the entirety of Bedrock. Now, I was aware that Bedrock was built off of Pocket Edition, so it makes sense that there is a lot of similarities there, but it was indeed a Pocket Edition exclusive. This is not something that I know much about or even got to experience, but I'm glad someone shined some light on this. Herobrine. This is another thing that I quickly went past, and I feel like I need to address this because I don't want to give off the wrong idea. So, in my first iceberg, I did mention that there was a popular Minecraft theory that Herobrine was Notch's dead brother. However, Notch said that he never had a brother. Someone mentioned in my comments section that apparently it was later clarified Notch had a half-brother, but he had passed away. I'm not saying that it's Herobrine, because obviously I don't believe that at all. This is definitely just a game. It doesn't go to that extent, and I feel like it's disrespectful to Notch to even consider that. But I feel like I needed to mention that he did in fact have a half-brother. I didn't fully explain that, so I feel like I should put it out there because someone corrected me. Now you know. Okay, I think I've covered most of everything that I needed to address out of the old iceberg. The last iceberg was pretty good, but I think this one is going to be even better because the combination of all of your comments helping me out, along with my own research that I have found. There is a lot to discuss now. I've been thinking about this for months, and I'm glad to be back. Experience is life. So the very first iceberg entry we have is going to be something that a lot of you probably didn't even think of. We play Minecraft not really thinking too much about the XP we gain, other than making sure that we keep it and that it stays going up. You need it for enchanting and to make yourself stronger so you can take on things like the Nether in the end. Enchanting is extremely useful, and you can get XP through a various number of methods. The thing about experience is, there's a lot more to it than it seems. The first thing that comes to mind for me and many others is the idea that experience can come from killing mobs. I'm sure we've all stumbled across a mob spawner at least once or twice, if not built our own. On top of that, if you kill any kind of mob or experience one dying, you will see XP drop from their body. However, there's one more stipulation to this. It only drops if you actually hit them. If the player character does not hit the mobs, they will not drop the XP. I'm not exactly sure what to think of this currently, but I'd like to first lay out everything that you can get XP from. Villager trading is another very good way to get a bunch of XP. Whenever you mine stuff like coal or redstone, you get experience points. What do coal and redstone have that iron, diamonds, netherite, and gold do not have? Well, if you haven't already guessed, it's the fact that coal and redstone are both used as a form of power. You use coal to smelt in your furnace, and you use redstone to power up different things in your world. Coal and redstone are both able to transfer their properties into energy. This is something that the other ores cannot do, at least to my knowledge. And this is why they give XP when you mine them. Whenever mobs breed of any kind, even villagers, they will also drop XP. When something is born, it gives XP. If a player character dies, it also drops XP. So what am I getting at here? Well, the reason this is so interesting to me is that it seems like experience is a form of life, some kind of life source inside of the Minecraft world. I think this is another interesting thing to note. When you kill the Ender Dragon, you get a ton of XP, almost like the XP of the size of that creature. If you were to compare the XP that the Ender Dragon gives compared to something such as a zombie, it's very different. You can also get experience from smelting different things within a furnace. But I just thought this was very interesting and a kind of interesting way to see experience in a different light. A lot of us don't think much about it other than, hey, let me get XP. But if you look past that, you'll be able to see that the experience is really some kind of life source, some kind of life energy. And it's something that's shared throughout the entire Minecraft world. Overall, this entry was pretty interesting. And if you'd like to know more about this, you should go check out Retro Gaming Now's video. He does a lot of very interesting videos on Minecraft theories like this one, and he goes into greater detail. But let's move on to the next entry. Skeleton Horse Army. A lot of you know that if lightning strikes a horse, it'll become a skeleton horse, and this is a pretty rare occurrence, similar to whenever lightning strikes a creeper and creates a charged creeper. However, there is a rare event where a lightning strike will spawn an entire horde of skeletons riding skeleton horses. This is vanilla, but it is an incredibly rare event. I had totally forgotten about this until I received a comment letting me know. I vividly remember this happening to me. Although, funnily enough, it was not in a single player world, it was in a Minecraft faction server. I'm not sure if people still play factions or not, but if you know what factions is, you know what I'm talking about. So just imagine you're out there in the world and you see other people and then that just kind of spawns in and starts attacking you. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. But it's also a very cool event and a very good way to get your own skeleton horse. So I wouldn't be complaining. I love seeing rare events. I just thought this was something interesting to add. Hidden laboratory in the ancient city. My friend Toka VT brought this to my attention from my last video. I missed a crucial detail about the Deep Dark. The Deep Dark itself is already scary, with all kinds of things that can terrify you. However, I was not aware that there was a hidden laboratory. Hopefully a lot of you don't know about this laboratory and you'll be just as interested as I was. There is a golden carrot that you can find in a chest within the ancient city, and you may have found this before and not thought much of it. You probably thought, what's the point of this golden carrot being here? Well, if you was to go beneath there is a certain door in a wall that you can walk up to. You must be within 1 block of that door. I recommend looking it up if you actually want to find how to get there yourself, because it's a little confusing. What you do is you stand in front of the door. You must be directly in front of it. Eat the golden carrot, which will then set off a piston from a distance away, opening the door and allowing you to enter. This will lead you to the hidden laboratory within the ancient city, and it has various redstone puzzles. In one of the puzzles, you simply place a book on top of a lectern, which will then light up a redstone lamp. Another redstone contraption that can be found is one where you can shoot an arrow into a target, which will move a redstone block. Also within the laboratory, there's a couple rooms with deep slate. There's really nothing in these rooms, but they look nice, and there's probably a lot of lore here, but I'm not exactly sure what the lore could necessarily be. What I do know is that the laboratory had people testing different experiments. This was a secret laboratory that was pretty large, and they were doing different types of redstone contraptions. Another redstone contraption that can be found is one showing how redstone can pass through solid blocks but not through glass. I think this just shows that whoever made this laboratory was trying to do redstone experiments to see how the properties work. This can also be used to teach the player if they were to ever find this, but I think that's a little strange considering most people are not going to be able to find this room. This is a secret room, which means most new players that don't know how to use redstone are not going to be able to find this laboratory. Experienced players are meant to find this, and this leads me to believe that this is definitely some kind of lore here. This is meant to prove something. However, I can't quite put my finger on it. What I do know is a lot of people seem to think that this is related to the pillagers for some reason, and I can kind of understand why. There is blue wool and dark oak that can be found within the hidden laboratory, and some theorize that this could possibly mean that illagers had actually been within this laboratory. And the reason that this is kind of special is because where can you find the pillager mansion? That would be in the dark oak biome. And the wool kind of speaks for itself. You could find blue wool within inside of the mansion. I think the wool is a bit more far-fetched, but the dark oak definitely strikes me as odd. And if there was to be some people that were up to no good experimenting within the ancient city, I wouldn't be surprised if it was pillagers. We've also seen them experimenting with inside of the mansion, so to me, it's a pretty good theory. Another theory, however, is that instead of it being pillagers, it could have been the ancient builders. I haven't mentioned the ancient builders in my last iceberg very much at all, but in this one, we might try and go into a bit deeper detail of who they are and what they've done. But I think that's it for the hidden laboratory. White eyes. Those two words will immediately make you think of Herobrine. Well, at least in the terms of Minecraft. Maybe in the real world you would just think, oh, eyeballs. But when it's in Minecraft terms, it has a whole nother meaning. In Minecraft Beta, there was actually a bug known as the white eyes bug. This was a glitch inside of Beta Minecraft that when in darkness, you'd see two tiny white pixels in the corner of your screen. This is also why a lot of people think that this might have been where Herobrine came from, because in some form or another, this kind of inspires that. Think about it. You see eyes in the corner of your screen while you're all alone, mining in a cave, especially in the older versions like Beta Minecraft. Yeah, I mean, that would freak anybody out. And then you start hearing about Herobrine on top of that. Yeah, I think I would believe it a lot more, because I'd be thinking to myself, wait a minute, I did see white eyes in that cave that one time. Is that what that was? This glitch probably fueled the Herobrine myth even more. But is it really a myth? I don't know. You never know. Anyway, let's continue. Bedrock blood moons. This is a very strange entry, and it's actually very early on within the video, but this is pretty creepy. I cannot say whether this is true or not. I'd like to say it's fake, but I'll never roll out anything until I've seen proof. A commenter known as Frank Sinatra II left a very interesting comment on my last iceberg. The comment reads as follows. Serious question. When playing Bedrock Edition, has anyone encountered blood moons? I've seen these multiple times in Worlds, and I have proof. I don't use any mods or texture packs besides the original textures, and even still, I have played Worlds without the original textures, and it still happens. I have also encountered times when the music randomly distorts. I would really like closure because this is freaking me out, and whenever I try to figure out what is happening, I just get those clickbait videos for kids, or horror mod videos. Someone else replies, like the moon is randomly red? I play on Bedrock as well, and I've never seen this before. Yeah, I play on Bedrock, and to be honest, I don't really see it ever because I'm always mining. I never responded to this comment. I didn't know what to make of it. To be entirely honest, I only saw it now as I'm going through the comments section, months later. This person's claiming that they've encountered blood moons inside of the Bedrock Edition. They even claim to have proof. However, I'm not sure if they do or don't. Whenever I checked the person's channel, I found no evidence to back this up whatsoever, and I can't seem to find anyone else talking about this either. However, this is one of those things that's really creepy to hear. This comment has no proof whatsoever, but it is pretty creepy to think about. And this guy could be telling the complete truth and I would never know. Unfortunately, I can't give any more information on what he has to say, because there's nothing else to go off of. However, after doing a bit more research, I did learn something. As far as I know, there is no blood moon inside of normal Bedrock Minecraft. However, there is something similar. In our last video, we actually discussed how the moon can affect things in different ways in Minecraft, such as affecting the spawn rate of a slime. We already know that the moon can actually affect the spawn rate of certain mobs. However, at moon night, especially at a full moon, can have a very small chance to spawn a large quantity of mobs. A giant horde of mobs, if you will. This is apparently a rare occurrence, but it can happen. So if it's ever very late at night and you happen to look up at the moon and it looks approximately midnight, just know that if a group of mobs spawn, it could be this rare phenomena. It's not a blood moon, it's about as close as we're going to get without mods. Who knows, maybe this person will comment on our video again with some more details, but for now this is all we have to go off of. Minecraft PS1 Edition. Minecraft PS1 Edition was actually just trying to recreate Minecraft in the style of a PS1 game, and it's a mod that you can download to try for yourself. I remember watching this as it first came out, and I was pretty fascinated by it. If you can't tell, I have quite the fascination with retro stuff. If you can't tell based off the entire way I've structured this video, I like the aesthetic, and I have a lot of nostalgia for older games and media. This takes that concept and it runs with it, making it pretty creepy. It's not the best Minecraft experience ever because it is pretty laggy, but I think it kind of adds to that atmosphere of being an older PS1 type of game. Imagine you were trying to run Minecraft on a PS1. Yeah, I don't think it would work too well. There's even a cover for this, and I love the vibe that it gives off. I mean, look at this. It just looks so old school. I just love this kind of art. I love this aesthetic. I love what they're trying to go for here. They're trying to recreate that old feel of a video game cover, of an old video game in general, and it's quite amazing. But there's a lot more to it than just that. Minecraft PS1 Edition is not just a mod to make it look like a PS1 game. It's a Minecraft horror mod. And I think it might be one of the most clever ones I've seen to this day. When you first start playing Minecraft PS1, it's going to seem like a normal Minecraft mod. Except for the fact that yes, it is in the style of a PS1 game, with a new UI and a new look. But the longer you play, the more creepy stuff tends to happen. It has a very low chance of happening, but the more you play, the higher the chance becomes. It's meant to be subtle. You're supposed to play this as if it's a normal Minecraft experience, and then over time, it'll get creepier and creepier, catching you off guard in ways you didn't expect. And I think this actually makes it a little creepier in its own aesthetic, in its own style. It's a bit more low quality. It's a bit harder to make out the details. I'm not going to spoil what the mod pack has in store, but I will at least say it does have Herobrine. From the videos that I watched of this, it was quite the creepy experience, and I highly recommend you go check it out if you're trying to have some kind of creepy, nostalgic Minecraft experience. Especially if you haven't played in a long time and you want to try it out in a new way, go check out the PS1 edition. And go see what kind of creepy secrets you can find. Good luck. It's not for the faint of heart.
Anybody over here? Let's see. I'm going to call on someone who doesn't look like they want to be called on. So how about you, sir? What's been the best part of this Minecon for you?
Spending it with lovely girlfriend here.
Aww.
And speaking of which, Emma, will you marry me?
So you probably don't want to say the same thing you originally were raising your hand for now, but how are you feeling, Miss Emma?
I'm feeling slightly embarrassed, but I'm feeling really loved at the same time. Sweet baby. But I really love being an ocelot for the weekend.
An engaged ocelot now.
Phantom screams. So, we all hate phantoms, right? You don't sleep for a day too long, and suddenly, you have those guys trying to chase you down and attack you. But, a creepy fact, well, it's not too creepy. Some people might find it funny, but I think it's a little creepy after knowing this context. I've killed phantoms so many times, and I've really enjoyed doing it, because I hated them. They're so annoying. But what I didn't know until today was the phantom screaming is actually one of the developers' sons screaming. Their infant baby. One of Mojang's developers has an infant son, and they used his screaming to make the phantom screams. To me, that's a little creepy, actually. It's a little funny in a way. I guess it just depends on your perspective. It's a little creepy to think that the phantom is making the sound of a screaming baby from the real world. And that's just been there for years, and I never knew that. With that being said, the fact that the phantoms make the sound of a screaming baby, that's just insane, and I can't believe I didn't know that until now. So now you do. Witches and Baba Yaga. This one is going to be a particularly interesting one for me to go over because I have a personal experience with this. So, witches. They actually have a hut that you can find out in swamps sometimes, and some of you may not have even known that it was a witch hut, but for those of you that didn't know, this is what it looks like. You can find them pretty frequently within the swamps. But what is Baba Yaga? That's a good question. A lot of you might not know what that is. Baba Yaga is actually a witch from Slavic folklore. She's supposedly an old woman who lives in a hut which has chicken legs, which is kind of crazy. I'm gonna try and give the best pictures I can to represent this, but the reason I have a personal experience with this is because as I was a kid, right, I had a book from the library at about 10 years old that had all these legends and folklore, and Baba Yaga actually managed to be in that. And it really creeped me out because the imagery was so weird. You have this ugly old witch who lives in this hut that has chicken legs and it's able to walk. And apparently, what was her job? To kidnap kids. What was I at the time? A kid. Now, what does this have to do with Minecraft? Well, as I discussed, you can find the hut within a swamp. And some of the developers of Minecraft have actually said that that witch mob was based on Baba Yaga. And this hut is actually fairly similar to the hut that Baba Yaga has in the legends. Obviously, it doesn't have chicken legs, but that would be pretty unsettling if it did. Imagine you're in the swamp and you just see a house that has chicken legs. I'm terrified. With that being said, you can definitely see the inspiration between the two huts and the fact that it has a witch, the fact that it stands up the way it does. There's a lot of similarities. I mean, how many witches live in huts that are in swamps? Okay, probably a lot, but at the same time, I don't know any personally, all right? Let me have this one. The developer said it was true, so it must be true. The player is the villain. This is a pretty simple theory that I'm gonna get past pretty quickly. This is a very basic theory that I'm gonna try and just breeze past, but to put it simply, the player could be seen as the villain. Depending on what you do, you definitely could be the villain. I know there is some crazy players out there that burn down villages, and I myself am definitely guilty of this. As a kid, in creative mode, oh, you don't wanna know the things I was doing. Absurd. I did some unspeakable things to villages when I was a kid. Creative mode is too much of a power source, man. I don't know, it's too much power for one person. But if you really think about it, you're going around killing animals, you're destroying ecosystems. I mean, you're literally taking down all these trees to build your house, and honestly, there's nothing to make you replant those trees. You could simply never replant them and keep destroying. Taking materials from the earth. I mean, it's definitely lore accurate to the real world, but you know, we won't talk about that. Anyway, you know what I mean. The Steve could be seen as the evil character of the Minecraft world, but I feel like in the same sentiment, Steve can be seen as the hero, because it really depends on how you play him. In a lot of my playthroughs, I like to go to villages and I like to actually make a base there to protect the village. I'll build a giant wall all around the village so that no mobs can get in. I light it up, I make sure I make even more iron golems. I mean, in that sense, I could be seen as the hero protecting the village. I mean, if you stop the raid, you literally get something known as Hero of the Village. So I guess it could really go either way. That's up for you to decide. In stone is cobblestone. Surprisingly, I never knew this growing up as a kid, so a lot of you guys probably also don't know, but you'll probably be quick to believe it. If you were to look at a picture of cobblestone and instone side by side, you would instantly recognize they look very similar. In fact, they have the exact same texture. However, there is one difference. Instone is just the colors of cobblestone inverted, which this is pretty cool. This is very interesting, but why exactly am I bringing this up? It's such a small detail. In a video like this, that's kind of random to add. It's because I believe that there's more to this. You see, if you didn't know this, Endermen actually see the world inverted. If you were to see through the eyes of an Enderman, you would actually see the world entirely inverted. So to the Enderman, the cobblestone actually looks like instone. and the end stone looks like cobblestone. Since most of the Endermen tend to inhabit the end, I feel like there could be something more there. Now I will say, as of recent updates, the Endermen have actually been in the Nether. They've been in the Nether for quite some time, and they're also found very commonly in the overworld. However, I don't think there is nearly as high of an amount in those areas as there is in the end. The Nether biomes actually do summon a good amount of Endermen, but the end is where they are just everywhere. I mean, it's quite literally called the end, Enderman, Ender Dragon, it just makes sense. This is where most of the Endermen reside, and why is this important? Previously in my last iceberg video, I actually mentioned how Endermen could be some type of human mob that have turned into an Enderman. It's a popular theory that at some point in Minecraft's history, there was actually a human species that went extinct, and that the Endermen might have been some of those previous humans, now cursed to wander the end forever. Now, there's nothing to actually guarantee this at all, it's just a theory. However, this is kind of interesting when you think of how the Endermen actually see endstone as cobblestone. And whenever you're in the overworld, you're seeing cobblestone all the time. It's like it reminds the Enderman of home. There's technically even end cities, which I think is kind of strange. I need to research the lore of the end cities a bit more before I can say anything conclusive. But just right off the top of my head, it would be pretty crazy if the Enderman built that automatically. Which is going to lead me into my next entry. Minecraft doesn't need you. Minecraft doesn't need you simply means that Minecraft can actually have all kinds of events happen in your world without you ever doing a single thing. There's lots of mobs in Minecraft that can do all kinds of things. However, the one particular mob that we're going to be focusing on is the Enderman. And the reason why is because they can move blocks. Now, in theory, if you had an unlimited amount of time, those Endermen could build all kinds of stuff. If there's an infinite realm of possibilities, there is an infinite amount of times that those Endermen have done the things that we would not expect them to do, such as making an ender portal, building a house, building a staircase. In some cases, they genuinely could even light up a nether portal. And the reason why this is possible is because there's so many mobs and so many scenarios that could happen that basically Minecraft doesn't need you. The game could be completely beaten without you. Now, is this likely? Not at all. Retro Gaming Now actually made a really good video on this, and I'm taking some of what I'm saying from his video. And I've watched this video in the past several times. It's one of my favorites. I just think it's such a cool concept, and the way he describes it is really interesting. I highly recommend you go check it out, but overall, it's just so interesting that the world doesn't need you to be able to activate. I mean, it can do all kinds of stuff without you even being there. There's a lot of random events that happen in Minecraft without us really noticing, but if you give it enough time, it would become very noticeable. Honestly, this is just amazing to think that Minecraft is a world that genuinely could do pretty much anything if you gave it enough time. And we wouldn't really matter at all. I think it's kind of a cool idea that Minecraft doesn't need the player to actually feel alive. All kinds of events can happen without you having to do anything, and that's just wonderful. Just wanted to point this out for a lot of you that never even thought of this because it's such a crazy idea. An Enderman can move one block. Just think of how much it could do if you gave it enough time. The Cave Dweller. So far on the list, I haven't mentioned many horror mods at all. Both icebergs, I've kind of steered clear from going to anything that's modded. However, I think I will be adding in the Cave Dweller because the Cave Dweller is so popular. I might also touch on some other ones, but for now, this is the Cave Dweller. A couple years ago, the Cave Dweller exploded in popularity as a mod because it was terrifying everybody. It was one of the first mods to actually be like this, and it inspired all kinds of other mods, which we'll likely talk about in some capacity. Looks wise, the Cave Dweller is pretty creepy, although if you see it enough times, it doesn't really scare you the same way. The reason it's scary is more of the atmosphere rather than the creature itself. It lurks in caves and it watches you from a distance, and it does make sounds, and the closer it is, the more disturbing and loud those sounds become, until eventually it tries to chase you. And let me say, it is pretty creepy, especially your first time experiencing it. And there's a lot of times that this mod still can catch you off guard. If you throw it into a mod pack and forget about it, it really might catch you off guard, and I think that's when it's at its best. But if you go out searching for it, really all you're going to be met with is a lot of disappointment. At least in my opinion. Some other people might feel differently, but I genuinely believe a lot of these horror mods, even though they are a cool concept, it's just hard to make Minecraft that scary. I think a lot of the best horror comes from being subtle and making you uneasy. A lot of these horror mods actually do understand this, and they implement this to some extent. However, a lot of the time, it's just loud noise, screaming, the monster's chasing you. that's about it. And to some people, that's going to terrify them, and I feel like for the first couple times, it is pretty scary. You know, it's actually pretty interesting, but once you've dealt with this so much, it just becomes annoying. Me and my friends actually installed as many horror mods as we possibly could into one server, and honestly, we didn't get scared a single time. At first we was really excited, but we slowly started to realize a lot of these mobs have a lot of issues. The programming wasn't too great and they get stuck on certain blocks, and usually they were either not active enough or they were way too active. The Cave Dweller's a nice in-between. I don't think it's a bad mod. I just don't think it's that scary for me personally. But when it catches you off guard, it might be one of the scariest things I've ever seen. From the Fog. Well, if a lot of you actually want to experience having Herobrine in your world, I got news for you. This is about as close as you're gonna get, and it goes pretty far. From the Fog is one of the best Herobrine mods I've ever experienced, and it's pretty peak. Most of everything that's been popularized about Herobrine is actually within this mod. He'll stalk you from a distance, and a lot of times you won't even notice him. His eyes do glow bright white. And he does, in fact, mess with your world. He'll burn down trees, he'll make pyramids, and he'll even dig tunnels where he puts redstone torches. This mod has all kinds of surprises, and it's a little similar to the PS1 edition where there is Herobrine within it, although they go very different paths for how they actually implement it. So I feel like you should try out both and experience both in their own. I'm not going to make too many comparisons, but I highly recommend From the Fog. Go check it out. It's an awesome Herobrine mod if you just want to experience what would it possibly be like to have Herobrine in your world. Obviously, it's not going to be as scary because you know that it's a mod and you're expecting it. But it's still really cool, and sometimes it can catch you off guard, seeing him at a distance. The creaking. Extremely recently, Minecraft decided that it wasn't already scary enough, so let's just add in another creepy mob. And they decided to add in the creaking. If you haven't already experienced or heard about the creaking, it can be found in the Pale Garden, which is a new biome that can be found near the Dark Oak biome. This is a terrifying looking mob, especially if you haven't known about the update. You just see this new forest, you go in. Oh yeah, if you're completely unaware about the update and you just go into the forest, this has got to be the scariest mob ever. Because there's one crazy thing about this mob that has never happened before. It's completely immune to all damage. So if you were to encounter it, you can't kill it. And it does a decent bit of damage. But how do you kill these and what is their weakness? Essentially, if you go into the Pale Garden, you are going to be able to find something known as a creaking heart that would be in a tree. Most of the time, you're not going to be able to find the creaking heart immediately. You're going to end up seeing the creaking first. The creaking actually spawns around these hearts, which are within trees. And if you destroy the creaking heart, you're able to then kill the creaking. But that's if the creaking doesn't get you first. However, the creaking will actually only spawn during nighttime or during thunderstorms. The craziest thing about the creaking, however, is when you're looking at it, it won't even move. It's a bit of a weeping angel situation. When you turn around, it will start going after you, but the moment you look at it, it doesn't move. But if for some random reason you happen to try using a carved pumpkin on your head, it'll actually just attack you no matter what, even if you're looking at it. It completely ignores everything and just goes straight for you. Illagers actually run away from the creaking whenever they see it. That should tell you how freaky this thing is. My guess is the Illagers, for all their research, probably haven't been able to find the creaking's weakness yet. This is technically about to be a mini iceberg entry of sorts, but essentially if you give the tag Johnny to any Vindicator, they will start attacking any mob around them, even their own kind. It's a reference to the movie The Shining, which is really, really cool, but the crazy thing is, it's still scared of the creaking. Even though it'll attack every single mob, it'll get as close as it can to a creaking before running away. What's also insane is creakings are basically completely immune to all types of damage. We're talking lava, fire, wardens, withers, I mean everything, dude. Still, I'm all for the fact that Minecraft is trying to add some new horror mobs. It's actually really cool. We have the warden, but now we also have the creaking. I just wonder what else they're gonna add. The wither is in Bedrock. This is a bit more of a niche entry that I guarantee a lot of you haven't noticed. As a kid, I was always bored, and I remember seeing a face within the Bedrock as well, but it took a long time before anybody really mentioned it. I figured as a kid that I was probably just crazy seeing this face within Bedrock, because it's very easy to just see stuff where it doesn't belong. However, there's no mistaking this. If you look at a picture of Bedrock, you'll start to see the face of the Wither literally all across Bedrock. This is really, really creepy when you actually recognize this and start to see that, hey, The bedrock, you know, it has the face of the Wither in it, which is insane. I don't know how I feel about the implications of that, because if that's like 1,000,000 faces at the bottom of your world, that's really freaky. Not a whole lot to say about it, other than that's just a really crazy fact, and it's a little unsettling. Not sure why it's like that, but that's how it is.
So here's some of the new things you can do in Minecraft 1.3. Trade in your emeralds you get from emerald ores with NPCs. Place logs sideways and build a hot tub with a pig. Always losing your stuff, keep it safe with ender chests. Fancy yourself as an author, write a book. Cocoa beans on trees, harvest, plant and grow. New creative mode with categories and search. A new bonus chest to start survival. Randomly generating jungle temples, sand temples and sand villages. Levers on the roof when you're feeling that little bit awkward. And don't forget, pigs now drop at least 1 pork. And tripwires to trigger all kinds of traps. All this and more in new Minecraft 1.3 on August 1st.
Mobs wear pumpkins on Halloween. So this is a pretty simple entry. Literally all that this is quite literally, on Halloween, mobs wear pumpkins. This is just something that not everybody's gonna know, because if you never logged onto Minecraft near Halloween, you're never gonna see this. And I actually have never seen this myself. I was vaguely aware of it, but this is the first time I'm actually seeing pictures of it, and I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's about what you'd expect, a carved pumpkin just on a bunch of mobs' head. But it looks cool, and I appreciate it, so you should too. I mean, honestly, anything that Mojang does for holidays like this, like the little Christmas chest that happened near Christmas, that's so cool. I hope they do more stuff like this, because it's so nice to log on to your Minecraft world just to see this as a nice little surprise. And it never overstays its welcome. Undead. So this entry is about the fact that there's a lot of undead in Minecraft. Some variations of undead would be zombies, skeletons, and drowned. The reason that this is so creepy is because the implications of this means that somebody died to create this. Like, dude, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Zombies have the exact same skin as Steve. There's no mistaking that. And it has stayed this way ever since the game released. It's crazy to me that this implies that these are dead humans. Like, factually, they have to be, dude. They're wearing the clothes of Steve. There's gotta be something there. And the most obvious answer is that these are some kind of zombies. These are previous humans. Skeletons. This is a bit stranger, because instead of being like zombies where they're wearing clothes, they are walking around as just literal skeletons. Don't ask me how that works, but it's a popular thing in media, and it happens to be in Minecraft. But this also implies that this is somebody's skeleton. Drowned is literally just an underwater zombie. Maybe this is somebody that drowned and then they turned into a zombie. That actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're called drowned. As for the pigman, if I had to make a guess, if it is technically undead, I would say the reason why it's there is because it's a pig that went to the nether and died. And then somehow it came back to life as like a zombie pigman. I mean, quite literally, they're called zombie pigmen. They have their arms up. I'm assuming they're zombies, dude. And it's kind of sad to think that some pig must have wandered into the nether and just turned. They died, and then they turned into whatever they are now. I guess I should also mention that technically the wither skeleton is also a undead creature. It's a slight variation of the usual skeleton, except for it's in all black. Not to mention, it tends to carry a sword, where the standard skeleton prefers a bow. And this is going to lead me to my next entry. Skeletons are weird. Now, why do I say this? What's about the best way I can describe this? Okay, skeletons, while being undead, as I spoke of before, are not like the other undead. Okay, zombies are the same height as Steve, but skeletons are taller than zombies, and they're taller than Steve. Okay, well, maybe it's a skeleton of a villager then. That's also wrong, because apparently it's taller than a villager too. It is actually taller than any human-like creature in the game, and yet it's a skeleton. I don't know, man, I just think that's kind of weird. I'm sure this is just a gameplay mechanic, but I'm just trying to analyze everything I can. I will say some skeletons and some zombies have different heights depending on the variant, but it is strange that Steve happens to be a different height than them, along with villagers. So who is this supposed to be a skeleton of? Ancient builders. So I haven't discussed ancient builders in too much detail so far, but to give a basic summary of what they are supposed to be, the ancient builders essentially made all of these structures that we find out in the world randomly that have nobody in them, such as the desert temple or the forest temple, places like the ocean monument, as I mentioned before, the inn stronghold, and something else that we're going to briefly mention later, the trial chambers, which is something that has recently been released. They've created a lot of stuff that you just find out in the world. Now, the lore is being speculated to this day of what really happened with the ancient builders, but the generalized theory about it is that these were humans just like Steve. They were builders just like us. But something wiped them all out. And that's why we don't see any when we actually play the game. Now, some theorize it could have been a zombie apocalypse, seeing as there's undead, like zombies and skeletons, everywhere. Some think that it has something to do with the pigmen. We're not exactly sure. We're still trying to figure out that lore to this day, but some people have some ideas of what might have happened. Trial chambers. The trial chambers is something that I've yet to experience myself in game, but it's so cool that I figured I had to add it. This is something I'm looking forward to trying myself in my current single player world, which I'm about day 300 in, but I still have yet to defeat the Ender Dragon or the Wither because I've been taking so much time to build up my base. But anyways, that's besides the point. Trial chambers. They spawn underground and they're supposed to give you a bit of a combat challenge. Trial chambers also happen to be the only place where a new mob called the Breezes spawn. But essentially by defeating these trials you get rewards, and you can also use bad omen potions to take a omen trial, which will make your spawners become ominous, and it basically just makes everything a lot more difficult, but it does provide greater rewards. It's got all kinds of mobs in there too. Now, the general theory is the ancient builders made this as a way to train themselves for the outside world. Now, obviously, I don't think there's anything guaranteeing this, but there is a lot of lore that backs that up. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to briefly touch on the trial chambers. Perhaps in the future, after I've actually experienced it more, I will talk about it again in a possible part 3, but for now, just know the trial chambers definitely got some stuff going on. There's definitely more than what it seems. Minecraft AI. Now, AI has been a subject that a lot of people are not too fond of in recent years, and I can see why. But despite your feelings on AI, whether good or bad, I would like to point out that there is something very creepy going around. If you were to look up Oasis AI Minecraft, you would see a Minecraft AI generated game. You have to wait in a bit of a queue time, but when you do it, essentially, you're gonna see Minecraft through the eyes of an AI generation tool. Every time you look around, the world around you is going to change. It's very freaky, and people have seen all kinds of disturbing content within this. Even your hotbar has items that change while you hold them, and usually you can't even properly use them. It's creepy because it feels like it's an amalgamation of everybody's Minecraft playthroughs all coming together. And it looks so terrifying, dude. Like, it'll go from a plains biome to a building, to a village, to the sky, to the ocean, to bedrock. I mean, it'll go everywhere just from you looking in circles. It's crazy what'll happen. If you want to go try it out, try it for yourself, but, you know, it's just kind of a crazy time. That's all I can say. It's very weird, and it's not even close to actual Minecraft. That's all I can say. But it's definitely a trip. Some people have actually said that they've seen Herobrine in there, and that is just crazy to me. I did not have an experience like that when I tried it, but I'm not surprised if you do happen to see Herobrine, because this is an amalgamation of all kinds of Minecraft content over the internet, and Herobrine has been in quite a few. Speaking of Herobrine, there's something that I want to talk to you guys about. It's Herobrine. So, Herobrine, however you want to pronounce it. Dude is a popular fellow, but when I was a kid, he was a menace, alright? I've mentioned this before, but people were terrified of Herobrine. We really thought that he genuinely could be real, and I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a song that traumatized me as a kid, and I would like to show you. It's a song that I'm only gonna play about 30 to 40 seconds of, and I want to give credit to the actual creator. But it is called It's Herobrine. But this is something that might unlock some memories from your childhoods if you ever were looking at videos like this in your childhood. I know I definitely was, and it creeped me out as a kid. I took it very seriously. I was terrified of Herobrine. I thought it was real. Every sighting I watched, I thought it was genuinely the truth. Always. So I'm just gonna play a little clip of this here. Enjoy, I guess.
some roses and some grass, when I saw a ghastly figure with glowing white eyes. Oh boy, I ran so fast. It's Herobrine, it's Herobrine. I locked away my diamonds and I threw away the keys. Herobrine, it's Herobrine. It's not just dead brother, and he's coming for me.
So yeah, it's not actually that creepy. If anything, it's just kind of nostalgic, and it's like, wow, man, that was a crazy time to be a Minecraft player. Crazy time to be alive, and I have a lot of nostalgia and good memories of this just because I was a kid at the time and I really thought this was creepy. And I look back at it now and I'm like, man, I was so stupid. I was so goofy. What was I thinking? Have you seen the Herobrine? This entry is very similar to the previous entry. Essentially, it's just a Minecraft song that's about Herobrine that I saw when I was a kid. It's about 12 years old. So it's actually pretty old at this point, but I have vivid memories of hearing this song, and it's definitely a lot creepier than the other song. Something about it, if you really listen to it with headphones on, it can be a little creepy. Not to mention back then, I really thought Herobrine was real, and I heard this, and it just sounded like, I don't know, like some kind of choir chanting for Herobrine or something. It's really creepy, and it used to disturb me a lot as a kid. Now I look at it and it's kind of just impressive because I'm like, wow, they really did this back then when the game was still early on. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to play a small clip of it here, and then, yeah, we'll talk about it.
Have you seen the Herobrine? Roams your world in the default skin. Roams your world in the default skin. Though he was removed, he shall rise again. Though he was removed, he shall rise again. He'll come back stronger than before. He'll come back stronger than before. When the darkness comes, he will strike for sure. When the darkness comes, he is where he waits. Even up to his present dates. Even up to his present dates. If you go against him, you'll meet your fate. If you go against him, you'll meet your fate. He can come at you where he hides. He can come at you from all sides. Let it be where he will never die. Let it be where he will never die.
So maybe now that you've heard it, you might understand a little bit of what I mean. It's just, it's kind of unnerving. I don't know, something about it feels strange. I can't exactly explain why it feels this way, but it definitely feels a little weird and unnerving, a little bit disturbing. But yeah, I just want you guys to experience that because it's something a lot of you, I guarantee, haven't experienced. But I am showing you this because it is something that I have that most people aren't talking about. This is mostly a forgotten music video, but I am bringing it to your attention now so that you can be aware. But that leads me to the final entry of the iceberg. Happy Ghast. This will be the final entry of the iceberg. And I cannot believe what I'm saying. The Ghast. They've evolved. In our last iceberg, we actually discussed how the Ghast were being treated poorly. I said this, I pointed this out, that even though the Ghast are annoying, you feel kind of bad for them. There was even an achievement to bring it to the overworld and then kill it. That's so messed up. Like I said, you're bringing it from the nether to the overworld just to kill it. Now, some people want to say, oh, but it's to free it. It's to free the Ghast spirit. Yeah, that's an entire possibility, don't get me wrong. But, like, in face value, I'm just killing the dude after I bring him back through a portal. Like, he just saw the real world for the first time. He's finally seeing something that has color and isn't just red and orange. And now he's just dead because of me. I did that. I gave him that false hope. That's depressing, but it's okay. Because apparently, you can go find baby Ghast in the nether, and now you can rescue them properly. You're able to find them, bring them back, hydrate them over a period of time, and then they'll grow older, and you'll even be able to ride on them. They're happy, they're smiling. I'm so happy to see these Ghast like this. This is awesome. Like, coming off of the last iceberg, this is such a W for the Ghast, man. Let me just say, when I heard this news, I was ecstatic. I was like, heck yeah, I cannot wait to talk about this in the iceberg. And since I didn't have a very fitting way to end off the iceberg, I think this is the perfect way to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this iceberg, and if you want to see more, just let me know in the comments. Give me suggestions, give me ideas, and I'll see what I can do. Thank all of you. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.